Yongah Hill Detention Centre are reportedly entering the 46th day of a hunger strike. This may be the first you've heard of this, but over in New Zealand, it's big news.
Our Kiwi colleagues are arcing up about it. What happened to you, Australia?
The weird thing is how little coverage there is of the media.
And New Zealand PM Jacinda Ardern has confronted Scott Morrison about it.
In my view, this issue has become corrosive in our relationship over time.
While many of these hunger strikers are protesting the conditions at Yongah Hill and their indefinite detention there,
9 years. 10 years. I can't believe it.
these men are taking the desperate action to fight deportation to New Zealand.
A country I've never been to.
The New Zealand people have a dim view of the deportation of people who moved to Australia as children and have grown up there.
Since the Migration Act was tightened in 2014 to allow deportation on character grounds, around 1,300 New Zealanders have been sent home. And after 13 years in Australia, Paul Mackesmith is due to join them. He says he has 2 kids and 2 grandchildren here. But a 12-month sentence for a string of driving offences sealed his fate.
I might not mention I might be homeless, there might be no support, I've got no family, no nothing.
And mere days before being released on parole for burglary, Timothy Galvin found out he was to be deported instead. Timothy is an Indigenous man with an Indigenous partner and 4 kids.
The average man who's never been kidnapped in my own country.
He just happened to be born while his parents were visiting New Zealand. He only found out he wasn't an Aussie citizen when his visa was cancelled in 2016.
I want to go and get my baby, my wife, and I need to be there with my kids.
Make no mistake, these men have committed crimes in our community. But for all intents and purposes, it's their community too. And they've served their time.
I feel like I'm a nobody. That's what the place does to you.
The only connection they have to New Zealand is that they were born here, right?
Even as New Zealand voices its outrage, it stands accused of doing the very same thing, reportedly sending 57 offenders back to Tonga in recent years, the completion of their sentences.
Get out and never get out. They just deported them from there.
Well, Filipa is a detainee's advocate and she joins us now. Filipa, you've played a major role in getting this story out. Why is it so important to you?
But because I believe that no one can tell their story better than what's happening to them than the person themselves. And it's really important for the men in the detention centres to actually be able to voice what's happening to them.
Of course, Filipa, we're dealing with convicted criminals here. So can you understand why there are some Australians who don't have much sympathy for them?
Well, actually, they're not all criminal convictions. There's different parts of the immigration that people are there for. Majority of these people have actually grown up in Australia. They've been here 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Is it not the moral responsibility and the ethical thing for Australia to acknowledge the kinship and the connection that these people have to Australia?
This change to the Migration Act wasn't designed to target the Kiwis, but it has disproportionately affected them. Why is that?
Because Kiwis are the highest non-permanent, non-citizens of Australia. We have what they call an SCB, so we can come and live in Australia, but we are not deemed to be permanent residents, which places us at the highest at risk for this legislation to affect us. And New Zealand citizens are the #1 nationality in Australian detention centres.
If these guys do get deported, sent to New Zealand, sent wherever, do you think that's wrong? Do you think that's the wrong outcome?
I think that it's a case-by-case aspect. I think that if someone's entered Australia and disrespected the laws and the legislations there, then yes, there actually is merit for them to be placed in deportation. But if someone has lived there, is married, has a wife there, has children there, has parents there, has spent the majority of their life there and contributed to Australia's society, then that should be taken on merit as well.
Well, Filipa, we really appreciate you speaking with us tonight. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Whatever the case, New Zealand is not a country we should have a dispute with. Surely between our government and the Kiwi government we can figure this out. And there's clearly an issue there to do with unexpected consequences from the changes to the law. It just does not make sense to me that we are sort of in this standoff with with the Kiwis over something as straightforward.
You appreciate that they've committed a crime, and I can understand people aren't sympathetic to that, but at the same time, you imagine you've never stepped foot in another country and they're telling you that you now have to live there and your entire life with families in another country and you didn't even know you've been born in that. You know, it doesn't make sense. Exactly.
Well, Border Force have provided us with a statement refuting claims of a mass hunger strike. They have acknowledged that some detainees are undertaking an ongoing peaceful protest. The full statement is available on our website.
We will be back after the break. Don't go